You know, that specific kind of silence that happens right after you turn off the car engine, but before you open the door to go into your house.
Hmm.
It's maybe 6:30 p.m., maybe 7. You've done the commute, you've put in the hours, you've, I don't know, navigated the office politics or the client emails.
Uh,
You're ostensibly successful.
on paper, yeah.
Exactly, on paper. If a stranger looked at your life on a spreadsheet job, apartment, maybe a partner, decent health, they'd say, this person has it figured out.
Right.
But in that silence, inside the car, there's this gnawing sensation. It's not panic exactly. It's deeper than that. It's a hollowness. It's the realization that you are checking all the boxes, but you have absolutely no idea why.
It's the quiet question.
That's exactly what it is. The quiet question that just haunts the background of the busy routine. What am I actually doing with my life? And it's terrifying because it feels like a betrayal. You did what you were supposed to do, and the payoff, that sense of fulfillment, it just isn't there.
And the immediate reaction, almost always, is guilt or shame. We think, I should be grateful. I have a job. I have food. Why do I feel so empty? We start to pathologize that lack of meaning as if it's some kind of personal defect.
Right. Like you missed the orientation day where everyone else got the script for how to feel purposeful and you're just improvising. But today, we are going to stop pathologizing that feeling. We're going to look at that exact experience, feeling lost, hollow, directionless, and we're going to dismantle it.
We're going to make the case that feeling lost isn't a dead end. In fact, if we look at the philosophy and the psychology of it, feeling lost is actually a mechanism. It's a signal. And if you know how to read it, it's the beginning of everything good. So hello, everyone. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jessica. And this is Philosophy in Life. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Our mission here is pretty specific. We take these massive, sometimes intimidating philosophical ideas, the ones that gather dust in university libraries, and we try to break them down into practical, actionable insights. We want to figure out how to live better, not just think better.
Yeah, we're trying to bridge that gap between the meaning of life
Mm-hmm.
and how do I get through this Tuesday. We're figuring this out right alongside you.
And before we jump into the deep end, if you are the kind of person who is looking for these meaningful conversations, if you want to move past the small talk and actually explore what it means to be human, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Join the community. We are building a group of people here who are committed to navigating the messiness of life with a bit more intention.
It really does help us keep making these deep dives, and honestly, reading your comments is the highlight of our week. It really is.
So today we are digging into a text called The Architecture of Purpose, Finding Meaning in Uncertainty. It's a dense read, isn't it? It pulls from existentialism, stoicism, and modern psychology.
It is dense, but it's so necessary. It's essentially a manual for when your map runs out.
Okay, so let's start with that immediate sensation, the reframing. Because when I feel lost, and I have felt lost many times in my life, usually right after I achieve a goal I thought would fix everything, my default setting is just panic. I feel like I'm falling behind.
That falling behind sensation is, I think, the modern condition, but the source material makes a really crucial distinction right at the start.
Yeah.
It argues that feeling lost is not a sign of failure.
Okay.
It is a sign of awareness.
Okay, play devil's advocate for a second, because when I'm in the middle of it, it certainly feels like failure. It feels like I'm broken. How is confusion a form of awareness?
Well, think about the alternative. The alternative to feeling lost isn't necessarily feeling found. The alternative is often just sleepwalking. It's unconscious competence in a life you didn't actually choose. You can go 20 years on autopilot, following a script written by your parents or your culture or, your own insecurity. You aren't lost in that state because you're on the tracks, but the train is going to the wrong station.
So the moment you feel lost is the moment you wake up and actually look out the window.
Exactly. The pain of feeling lost is the pain of consciousness returning. It's the realization that I'm here, but I don't want to be here.
Right.
And that requires a level of cognitive and emotional maturity that, frankly, sleepwalking just doesn't.
It reminds me of the classic Socratic paradox. We always quote Socrates saying, I know that I know nothing. It's become a cliche on coffee mugs now. But historically, that was a radical, even dangerous stance to take.
Oh, it was incredibly dangerous. It got him killed. But the philosophical term for it is aporia. It means a state of, puzzlement or impasse. In the Socratic method, you have to reach aporia. You have to get to that point where you admit you don't actually know what justice is or what virtue is, before you can even begin to learn the truth.
So aporia, or feeling lost, is the gate. You can't get to wisdom without passing through the confusion first.
Precisely. If you think you already know the way, you're unteachable. The feeling of being lost is simply your brain clearing the cache. It's your internal system saying, the old map doesn't work anymore. We need a new one. It's a deeply uncomfortable state, but it's a fertile one.
I like that image, clearing the cache. But we have to address why this feels so uniquely painful right now. The source talks about the modern pressure cooker, because it's not just internal confusion. It's internal confusion surrounded by this illusion of external perfection.
And this is where we have to talk about what some people call timeline anxiety. We live in a hyper-visible society. If you open your phone right now, you aren't just seeing your friends. You are seeing a curated feed of the top 1% of outcomes in every possible category of life.
Oh, yeah. You see the 22-year-old crypto millionaire. You see the 30-year-old with the perfect farmhouse renovation and 2 angelic children. You see the 40-year-old who just ran a marathon and looks 25.
And the human brain, our poor ancient brains, are not wired to understand that these are outliers. We process them as the norm. So you look at your own internal state, which is messy, nuanced, and full of doubt, and you compare it to their external highlight reel.
It's the classic blooper reel versus the movie trailer problem.
It is, but it goes deeper than that. It creates this artificial timeline. We feel this immense pressure to figure it out by a certain age. If I haven't found my calling by 25, I'm late. If I'm pivoting my career at 45, I must have failed somewhere along the line. The source text argues that this timeline is a complete and total fabrication. It's a cultural myth, not a biological reality.
I think that's why the feeling is so isolating, too. It's not just, I don't know where I'm going. It's everyone else knows where they're going, and I'm the only one wandering around in circles, which statistically has to be false.
It's completely false. Most people are just improvising. The people who look like they have it all figured out are often just running faster on the wrong track, or they are just very, very good at masking their own existential dread.
Okay, so step 1 in this deep dive is a collective exhale. If you are listening to this and you feel lost, you aren't broken and you aren't behind, you've just woken up.
And once you've accepted that, once you stop fighting the feeling, you can start doing something about it. Which brings us to the core philosophical argument of the text, the difference between finding meaning and building meaning.
This was the part of the reading that really forced me to check my own assumptions, because the title of this episode is How to Find Meaning. That's the language we all use. I need to find myself. I need to find my passion, as if it's a set of keys I dropped somewhere in the sofa cushions.
That is what the source calls the treasure hunt model of meaning. That's a very romantic idea, right? It suggests that there is a singular, predestined purpose with a capital P hidden somewhere out there in the world. And if you just travel to enough ashrams, or date enough people, or switch jobs enough times, you will eventually just stumble over it.
And the music will swell, the clouds will part, and the credits will roll.
Right. But that model is inherently passive. It places all the agency outside of you. It makes you a victim of a cosmic game of hide and seek. The source material argues for something completely different, what it calls the construction site model.
Okay, break that down for us.
The construction site model says, meaning does not exist out there in the world waiting to be discovered. The world is neutral. The world is, frankly, chaos. Meaning is something you impose upon the chaos. You don't find it. You build it, brick by brick.
That's intimidating, though, because if I have to build it, that means I'm responsible for it. There's no one else to blame if my life feels meaningless.
It is terrifying, but it's also the ultimate liberation. Because if meaning is a treasure hunt, you might never find it. You could spend your whole life looking in the wrong forest. But it's a construction site. You can start laying bricks right now, exactly where you are. You don't need to move to Bali. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. You just need to start building.
This is where the text pivots to existentialism, and specifically to Viktor Frankl. And I think we need to spend some real time here, because Frankl isn't just a theorist. He paid a higher price for his insights than almost anyone else in psychology or philosophy.
Absolutely. For anyone who doesn't know, Viktor Frankl was a Viennese psychiatrist who was sent to concentration camps during the Holocaust, including Auschwitz. He lost his wife, his parents, his brother. He was stripped of literally everything: his professional identity, his clothes, his hair, his name. He was just a number.
There's that story he tells in Man's Search for Meaning, which is referenced heavily in our source text about his manuscript.
Yes. Before the war, Frankl had spent years writing a manuscript on his life's work, which was this new theory of logotherapy, basically healing through meaning. When he arrived at the camp, he had this manuscript hidden in the lining of his coat.
And they took the coat.
They took the coat. They destroyed the manuscript. His entire life's work, gone.
That moment, I can't even begin to imagine. It's not just losing your freedom, it's losing your legacy. Your life's work is just turned to ash in a second.
And in that moment, he had a choice. He could have given up. He could have said, my life is over. It has no meaning now. But instead, he made a decision. He decided to rewrite the manuscript. He didn't have paper, so he started writing key concepts on tiny scraps of paper he found in the camp. And he realized something profound. The Nazis could take his physical manuscript, but they couldn't take the meaning of the work from him because he could choose to rebuild it.
And that leads directly to his core thesis. The source breaks down Frankl's 3 sources of meaning. And I think these are the actual blueprint for anyone feeling lost today. Let's walk through them, but let's be critical. The first one is the work.
Right. The work, or creativity.
Yeah.
This is what we give to the world. Now, the trap here, and it's a big one, is thinking this just means my career.
That's exactly where I get stuck. I think, well, I hate my job, so I guess I can't find meaning in the work.
But Frankl isn't talking about your job title. He's talking about contribution. It's about externalizing something that is internal to you. It could be painting. It could be raising a child with intention. It could be tending a small garden on your balcony. It could be rewriting a manuscript on scraps of paper. It is the fundamental act of saying, I was here and I made this.
So even if you're an accountant and you feel lost, you can find meaning in the work by, I don't know, coaching a little league team on the weekends, or by perfecting a recipe and cooking a meal for your friends.
Exactly. It's about the imprint you leave. If you are creating value for someone, somewhere, you are building meaning. It's that simple.
Okay, that makes sense. The second source is the love.
This is about connection. Frankl talks about experiencing another human being in their very uniqueness. This isn't just romantic love. It's about encounter. It's about genuine presence. When you truly listen to someone, when you care for someone, when you are fully present with someone, you are anchoring yourself in the world. You're creating a web of significance.
I think when people feel lost, they tend to isolate. They pull back. They say, I need to go figure myself out. So they stop seeing friends. They stop calling family.
Which is the absolute worst thing you can do. Because meaning is so often relational. You find out who you are by looking into the face of another person. If you feel lost, go love someone, go help someone. The reflection will tell you who you are.
And then there's the third one. And this, to me, is the hardest one to really get your head around, the attitude.
This is Frankl's concept of tragic optimism. He argues that we cannot avoid suffering. We cannot avoid pain, guilt, or death. These are what he called the tragic triad of human existence. But, and this is the big but, even when you are helpless to change a situation, like being in a camp or having a terminal illness or facing a massive failure, you are never helpless to change your attitude toward that situation.
The last of the human freedoms.
That's the one. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way.
But isn't that just mental gymnastics? Is it just telling yourself a pretty story to make the pain go away? That feels a bit like denial.
Yeah, it's not about denying the pain. It's not positive vibes only. It's about defiance. It's about looking at the suffering head on and saying, this will not break my character. This will not make me a bitter or cruel person. If you are feeling lost, you are suffering because of that confusion, you can choose to bear that confusion with dignity. You can choose to be curious about it rather than resentful of it. That choice is a meaningful act in itself. It transforms the suffering from a burden into a kind of triumph.
So, to synthesize Frankl for our listener who is sitting in that car feeling that hollowness, you build meaning by doing something useful, the work, by connecting with someone deeply, the love, or by choosing a noble attitude toward your suffering, the attitude. You don't wait for meaning to arrive. You have to activate one of those 3 levers.
Exactly. You activate them. It is an active, ongoing process, not a one-time discovery.
This idea of the attitude bridges us perfectly into the next pillar of the source material, Stoicism. Now, Stoicism is having a bit of a pop culture moment. You see Ryan Holiday books in every airport, but sometimes it gets reduced to just, be a rock, don't have emotions.
Which is a complete and total misunderstanding of Stoicism. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they felt emotions deeply. I mean, Marcus Aurelius was an emperor. He felt the weight of the entire world. Epictetus was born a slave. He felt the pain of literal chains. But they focused entirely on what they call the dichotomy of control.
And this is the tool for the person who feels lost.
It is the ultimate tool. The premise is devastatingly simple. Some things are up to us and some things are not. The economy. Not up to us. What other people think of us. Definitely not up to us. The past. Not up to us. Our judgments, our responses, and our actions right now, completely up to us.
When we feel lost, we are almost always obsessing over the things that are not up to us. Why won't this industry hire me? Why did my partner leave? Why is the housing market so expensive? It's all external.
And that obsession creates a feedback loop of helplessness and anxiety. The Stoic shift is to move from what we can call the victim question to the agent question.
Okay, give me the victim question.
The victim question is, why is this happening to me? It looks backward and it looks outward. It assumes you are a passive recipient of fate.
And the agent question.
The agent question is, given that this is happening, who do I want to be?
Who do I want to be? Wow, that completely shifts the focus. It moves it from circumstance to character.
Exactly. If you are lost in the woods, asking why am I in the woods doesn't help you one bit. It's a useless question. But asking, what does a calm, resourceful person do when they are lost in the woods? Well, that gives you a next step. It gives you agency.
And for anyone listening, if this reframing from why me to who do I want to become resonates with you, if it gives you a little bit of that agency back, maybe take a second and hit the like button. It's a small thing, but it helps the video reach other people who might really need to hear this message today.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I want to pause on that who do I want to be concept because
Mhm.
the source brings up a metaphor here that I found really visceral. The lobster.
The lobster. I love this analogy. It comes from a rabbi, Dr. Abraham Tversky, but it fits the Stoic model perfectly. So a lobster is a soft, mushy animal that lives inside a rigid, hard shell. That rigid shell does not grow.
Okay, so as the lobster gets bigger, the shell gets tight.
It gets incredibly uncomfortable. It feels confining. It feels like intense pressure. If the lobster could go to a therapist, it would say, "Doctor, I have anxiety. I feel squeezed. Something is wrong with me."
But the discomfort is the signal.
Right. The discomfort is the signal that it's time to shed the shell. The stimulus for growth is feeling uncomfortable. So the lobster has to go hide under a rock because it's about to be very vulnerable. It has to crack open its own shell, shed it, and then grow a new, bigger one.
And the insight here is that if lobsters had access to Xanax, they would never grow.
Exactly. If they numbed the discomfort, they would stay in the tiny shell and eventually die of compression. The feeling of being lost is often just the feeling of outgrowing your old identity. It's growth pain.
That is so important. We think being lost means we've gone off the path. But maybe it just means the old path was too small for us.
You are shedding a skin. The smart kid identity from college doesn't fit anymore. The party girl identity doesn't fit. The loyal employee at a company you hate identity doesn't fit. You are in that messy, squishy, vulnerable middle. And it hurts. But the source is telling us, let it hurt. That pain is the prerequisite for growth.
But the danger of that squishy phase, the molting phase, is that we feel paralyzed. We don't have the new shell yet. We don't know who we are becoming. And this leads to what I think is the most practical section of this entire deep dive, the psychology of action.
This is where the rubber meets the road. Because when we are in that vulnerable, uncertain state, our instinct is to freeze and think. We want to sit in a room and analyze our lives until we magically find the answer.
Oh, I'm so guilty of this. I call it strategic worrying. I convince myself that if I just worry hard enough, I'll solve the entire equation of my life.
We all do it. But the source is very blunt here, and I think we need to be. It says, you cannot think your way out of a problem you acted your way into, and you cannot think your way into a new life.
Why not? Why doesn't introspection work when you're truly lost? It feels like it should.
Because introspection without new data is just a loop. You're just spinning the same old thoughts around and around in your head. I'm unhappy. What should I do? I don't know what to do, so I'm unhappy. To break that loop, you need new data. And the only way to get new data is to go out and interact with the world.
The text uses the metaphor of the fog here. And I want everyone listening to really visualize this. Imagine you are out for a hike, but a dense, thick fog has rolled in. You can't see the peak of the mountain. You can't see the trail markers 50 yards ahead. You can only see your own boots and maybe 3 feet of dirt in front of you.
And the mistake we all make is that we refuse to move until we can see the peak. We stand there screaming at the fog, show me the destination, show me the 5-year plan.
But the fog doesn't care about your 5-year plan.
The fog does not care. So the only way to see more of the path is to take the 1 or 2 steps you can see. You walk those 3 feet, and guess what happens?
The fog moves with you. You can now see the next 3 feet.
Clarity is a byproduct of movement. It is not a prerequisite for movement. You have to walk into the unknown to make it known. You have to act your way into a new way of thinking.
This reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend who was terrified of changing careers. He was 40, he'd been in finance his whole life, hated it. He wanted to do something creative, maybe furniture design, but he was completely paralyzed because he couldn't see the exact path to making a living from it.
He was trying to see the summit from the parking lot through the fog.
Exactly. So applying this fog logic, he shouldn't be trying to figure out the business model of a furniture company from his desk. He should just build a chair.
Build a chair, or take a woodworking class on a Saturday. That is the step he can see. When he builds the chair, he gets data. Did I like this? Was I any good at it? Did time disappear while I was sanding the wood? If the answer is yes, then he can take the next visible step. If the answer is no, he just saved himself 5 years of agonizing and a lot of money.
The source calls this micro-meaning, and I love that term. We get so obsessed with macro-meaning, what is my legacy, what is my grand purpose, but macro-meaning is just a pile of micro-meanings stacked on top of each other over time.
Yes. The source suggests that if you are lost, you should lower the stakes dramatically. Stop trying to solve your life. Just try to solve the next hour.
What does that look like, practically? Give me some micro-meaning actions.
Okay, so it looks like competence. Do something, anything that makes you feel competent. Fix that leaky faucet you've been ignoring. Clean your desk. Go for a run and actually hit the time you aimed for. These small wins build momentum.
Okay, competence. What else?
It also looks like curiosity. Read one article about something you know nothing about. Walk down a street in your own city that you've never walked down before. Listen to a type of music you think you hate. Just get new data.
And the third one?
And it looks like service. We mentioned this with Frankl, but it bears repeating because it's so powerful. If you feel useless and lost, go be useful to one person. The fastest way out of your own head is to get into someone else's world.
It's the ultimate antidote to navel-gazing, isn't it? The moment you help someone carry their groceries up the stairs, or you really listen to a friend who is struggling, you exist. You matter. The lost feeling just evaporates in the face of utility.
There's a phrase I use with my clients sometimes. You can't steer a parked car.
Oh, that's good. I'm writing that one down.
You can sit in the driveway and turn the wheel left and right all day long. You can plan the perfect cross-country road trip. But the car will not change direction until it is in motion. Even if you're just moving slowly, even if you're moving in what you think is the wrong direction initially, being in motion allows you to correct your course. Standing still just allows you to rust.
So just get the car moving. Even if it's just inching forward out of the driveway?
Just take the parking brake off. That's the first step.
Yeah. I want to talk about the final piece of this architecture now. We've talked about reframing the feeling, building versus finding, and the necessity of moving. But where are we moving to? Section 5 is about alignment.
Right. This is the long game.
Yeah.
This is how you ensure that you don't just wake up feeling lost again in 5 years. The source argues that success is the wrong metric to chase. Alignment is the right metric.
But alignment is one of those buzzwords. It sounds like something you hear at a corporate retreat that doesn't really mean anything. How does the text define it in a way that's actually useful?
It defines alignment as when your daily suffering serves your ultimate values.
Whoa, wait, say that again. When your daily suffering serves your ultimate values. Unpack that for me.
Okay, so everyone suffers. Work is hard. Relationships are hard. Raising kids is hard. Getting in shape is hard. Discipline is hard. You are going to be tired, stressed, and frustrated regardless of what path you choose in life. There's no path without some form of suffering. Alignment is when you are willing to endure that specific kind of suffering because the outcome it's attached to matters deeply to you.
So if I value financial freedom, I am willing to suffer the late nights and the stress of building a business. If I value creating art, I am willing to suffer the rejection and the financial instability that might come with it.
Exactly. Being lost is often just the dawning realization that you're suffering for things you don't actually care about. You're stressed about a weekly report for a boss you don't respect, to help a company sell a product you don't believe in, to buy a slightly nicer car you don't really need. That's misalignment. And that is what is soul-crushing.
So the way out of being lost in the long term is to identify what you are willing to suffer for.
Yes. And that requires knowing your real values, not the values you think you should have. Oh, I want to save the whales, but your actual demonstrated values. What do you actually sacrifice your time, money, and energy for, even when it's hard? That's where you'll find your answer.
This brings us to the synthesis, the deep answer. If we look at this entire source text, Frankl, the Stoics, the psychology of action, and we boil it all down to a practical strategy for our listener who is sitting in that car, feeling that hollowness, what is the 5-step roadmap?
Okay, let's build the architecture. Step 1. Accept the fog. Stop judging yourself for being lost. Recognize it as aporia, the necessary confusion before the breakthrough. You aren't failing, you're molting. You're outgrowing your shell.
Right, no panic, just awareness. Step 1.
Step 2. Take responsibility. Shift your mindset from the treasure hunt to the construction site. Stop waiting to be found. Pick up a brick. You are the architect of your own meaning.
Total ownership. I like it.
Step 3. Ask the agent question. When that spiral of negative thought starts, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, who do I want to be in this moment? Focus on your character, not your circumstance.
Shift from victim to agent. Got it.
Step 4. Pursue micro-meaning. This is the fog strategy. Don't try to solve your whole life today. Just take the next visible step. Build the chair. Call a friend. Get the car moving so you can actually steer it.
Action over analysis. Simple. Not easy, but simple.
And finally, step 5. Seek alignment. Audit your suffering. Make sure the pain you're enduring on a daily basis is in service of a value you actually hold dear. If it's not, that is where you need to pivot. That's the signal to change course.
That is incredibly clarifying. It takes this massive dark cloud of existential dread and turns it into a checklist. A hard checklist for sure, but a doable one.
It makes it a practice, meaning isn't a final destination you arrive at, it's a daily practice.
As we wrap this up, I want to leave everyone with a thought from the very end of the source material. It really stuck with me, especially as someone who really hates uncertainty.
Is it the line about the beginning?
It is. The source says, feeling lost is not the opposite of meaning. It is the raw material of meaning.
I love that.
It means that your confusion right now isn't waste. It's fuel. You are in the process of building something new, and the lost feeling is just the sound of the construction site. It's the sound of progress.
You are asking these big questions because you are finally ready for deeper answers.
Yeah.
If you weren't ready, you'd still be sleepwalking. So trust the confusion. Lean into it.
We really hope this conversation resonated with you. I know it did for me. It's a good reminder that we are all just figuring this out one micro action at a time.
You are definitely not alone in the fog. We're all in here with you trying to see the next 3 feet.
If you found value in this, if it gave you a bit of a compass or just made you feel a little less alone, please hit that like button. It helps the algorithm get this message to other people who might be sitting in their cars right now, feeling that same hollowness.
And we really want to hear from you. Let's make this practical. In the comments below, tell us, what is one micro-meaning action you can take today? Just one small thing. Are you going to call your mom? Are you going to sign up for that class? Are you going to clean out your garage?
Put it in writing. Make it real. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Philosophy in Life for more of these deep dives. We have some really interesting topics coming up on the psychology of regret and the philosophy of friendship.
Yeah, you won't want to miss those.
Thanks for trusting us with your time today. And remember, the fog is thick, but you only need to see the next step.
Take care, everyone. Keep building.
See you next time.